biggest fucking video site in the world can't get their shit to function. Okay, well, the stream's working now. Chat still isn't. Okay, widgets. Chat. Okay, now it'll work. God damn it. Okay. Profile. And then I go to settings. And then I go to chat. And then now it'll work. So if I go to settings, chat. If it doesn't work now, I don't know what to do. Because it's just fucked. Unless I'm accidentally streaming twice, which is possible that I could be doing that. I'm not doing that. Okay. Well, if I'm not doing that, then the shit's fucked. Oh, your creator code is that. That's wild, dude. I didn't want YouTube chat to work anyway. Okay, we're going to see how quickly my YouTube can get claimed for playing copyrighted music. Okay, chat. I got some articles to bang out. Okay. And I'm bad at reading. So to motivate myself, I started streaming while I'm doing it. So that's the plan. Oh wait, hold on. I gotta opera.exe add. There we go. Oh wait, shit, I don't even have to do that. I'm live streaming. Alright, I did have to do that. Sorry, I haven't streamed in a while. I don't know. I forgot how my shit is set up. YouTube chat never gonna work. Why isn't it though? It's the thing. There's no reason I shouldn't be working. Okay. This shouldn't be here. It should be here. Hold on. Okay. We got shit to read. What if I stop streaming on that? Surely. Yo. Let's go. Oh, hey, Kyle. Why isn't it displaying the icons? Show platform icon. Copy. And now it'll work. Fuck yeah. Okay. There we go. What do you mean? I don't see what the issue is, dude. Okay. This one's really long. And I will read this, and I have to read this, and I'm like on page 8. But I don't fucking feel like reading. I wonder if AI can summarize this shit for me. Fuck, but it'll be really good to read. Okay. Starting with this one. What's this one? Made in Israel. What? Why did I do this one? What is this one about? What the fuck? International lawyers inside and outside Israel have long been critical. Oh fuck! I might actually have to read this one still. God damn it! God damn it! I was hoping I could get out of it. God damn it! Okay, so this is about what applies to Israel. I think. Fuck. You need a lo-fi chill. My stream's gonna get claimed because I'm playing copyrighted music, and I don't want to listen to fucking lo-fi shit. But I don't care. It's fine. They won't even know. They won't even know. And also, why is my chat fucked up? It like reverted to default settings for some reason. But all the non-copyright music is bad. Okay, so I want it like that. Or wait, I don't want that background. I just want it to be transparent. Where's the fucking transparent option? Transparent. There we go. But I don't Listen, it's fine. Listen, might it might the stream might get taken down. Um, but it's fine. It's fine. Kick's not gonna care. I'll always have Kick. By the way, I'm insulted. You didn't notice my new webcam. Started using my phone as a webcam because it looks a lot better. And when I use that as a webcam, I noticed my overlay is like really low quality, which was fine when my webcam was really low quality. But now that it's not really low quality, I need to. It looked really bad, so I got a new overlay that's not really low quality. I didn't know. There is a massive difference between my old webcam and this. It's not even close. Are you kidding me? Hold on, let me pull up like one of my shorts where I use my webcam or something. It's not even close, dude. It's not even close. Look at that. It's horrible. I'm insulted. Okay. I have to lock in. I don't know what I want to fuck. Okay. This needs to go like here. Okay. Fuck, okay. I'm locking in. International lawyers inside and outside Israel have long been critical of Israel's tendency to rely on very specific and problematic interpretations of international law to justify certain military acts and foreign policies. Are these like just going to be news articles? Oh, fuck. They're actual things. I'm not reading those. Such tenuous interpretations include a claim in favor of annexation of territory captured in defensive war in relation to the Golan Heights, in favor of the non-application of the Fourth Geneva Conventions to the territories. Okay. In favor of a narrow reading of the prohibition of transfer into populations of occupied territories. I have read about this. This is like, I think what Israel will argue is that since they're like not forcefully transferring people into occupied territories to people that are just like being allowed to move there, like it's not actually a violation of international law. Yeah, I don't know, but it's like, this is fucked up. Anyway, they also include a claim that international humanitarian law displaces completely the application of international human rights law to armed conflict situations, and that the application of military force against demonstrations and riots in Israel Gaza border is governed by the law of enforcement provisions of international humanitarian law, whose precise contents remain unclear, not international human rights law. That's another thing, is it gets weird. Because what law applies differs if it's like a international conflict or a domestic one. And with Israel, it's kind of hard to define because Palestine isn't like a total like state. Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't take these notes, by the way. I stole these ones. Okay. The tendency to manufacture tenuous versions of international law, however, is not unique to Israel. Many states have also adopted implausible interpretations of key international law instruments to mask the illegality of their national security and foreign policy actions. I wanted to. Why don't they just like list the fucking countries? Do we try to justify the Iraq War? Anyway. Furthermore, we are increasingly seeing in the Israeli-Palestinian context attempts by states, international governments, NGOs, and commemorators to generate versions of international law that deviate from pre-existing mainstream views, standard canons of interpretation of law, identification about the contents of international law. That is a big thing I read with this one, which I'm on page 8, is international law is supposed to have a very narrow view of intent. So like in order to like intentionally direct attacks against civilians, like it's supposed to be your primary goal is to kill those civilians for the sake of killing those civilians. Whereas like doing a strike, they like do this with different things. So like there's dolus. Hold on, where is it? Dolus eventualis is like it's like acting with knowledge if there could be harm to civilians. So if Hamas is operating on the second floor of a building and dolus erectus, acting with purpose, you're acting with the purpose to kill the civilians. And that's how intent is usually interpreted under international law. And then there's been a ton of efforts by a lot of like NGOs to try to use some type of dolus eventualis where they'll say, well, if Hamas is operating on the third floor or on the second floor of a building and there's civilians on the third floor of the building, even if you act with the purpose to kill Hamas members on the second floor, well, you acted with knowledge that could result in harm to civilians. So therefore, you intentionally kill those civilians. When what this article argues is basically if we did that, well, no one's going to fucking follow international law anymore. Because basically no matter what you do, there's always a risk, that you're going to be killing civilians, right? So what would be the point of even trying to minimize civilian casualties then? Because either way, they'll say you intentionally killed them. Yeah. Which is why I spelled generally wrong. Okay. Anyways. Where did I leave? Okay. Yep. Such attempts appear to apply new legal interpretations uniquely to Israel sometimes. The basis to claim that the Palestinian situation is whatever the fuck this is unique. Why? Who the fuck? Why? Why would you not just say unique? Okay, whatever. Such an international law made for Israel has been invoked in increasing frequency in the current Israel-Hamas war. Like its intellectual sibling, international law made in Israel, international law made for Israel, cannot offer a common legal basis upon which international relations, including those relating to armed conflict situations, can be successfully conducted. As a result, international law loses, risking both its credibility in the eyes of states and other stakeholders and its effectiveness as a regulatory framework. Any examples of international law meant to be more of a compromise for every international nation? Because if they don't put leeway on... Hold on, what? How the fuck... Hold on, I gotta read this again. Is international law meant to be more of a compromise for every international nation? Then because if they don't put leeway, then unallied countries would just disregard it completely. What do you mean? Is it meant to be? It's not. International law exists to do two things that are kind of in conflict to each other. It exists to try to protect civilians and to try to protect a nation's right to defend itself. It has to try and protect civilians because that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to set up rules for lawfare or laws for warfare that try to distinguish between civilians and military personnel, that allows nations to kill the military personnel, but not the civilians. It has to also protect nations' rights to defend itself, because otherwise no one would ever follow international law. If international law, for example, just said killing civilians is a crime, no matter what, then, like, let's say Hamas did what it did on October 7th, it attacks Israel, and then the UN says, well, if you went to war with Hamas, that would kill a lot of civilians, and that's against the rules, so you can't do that. Well, obviously, Israel is always going to say, fuck that, we're going to war with Hamas anyway, and we're not going to care about anything anymore because we've already broken international law just by going to war with them. Why the fuck would we care how much we break it at that point, right? So it has to exist in a weird place. I mean, aren't they able to make no compromise rules about civilian casualties for that reason? What do you mean no compromise rules? Oh, the occupation of Gaza. Okay. Given the current context of the Israel-Hamas war, we focus on 3 war-related examples. The application of law to the occupation of Gaza. Never mind, man. I don't know what you're trying. What do you mean no compromise? Okay. Given the current context of the Israel, focus on 3 examples. The application of law, the law of occupation of Gaza, the debate over advanced warnings in northern Gaza, and Israel's right to self-defense. Other prominent examples of tenuous interpretation to international law and their applications to the Israeli process, such as remarkably loose interpretations of the international crimes of apartheid and genocide, will have to be discussed some other times. Oh, they don't have articles on this? Okay, hold on. Fuck, I gotta read this too. Okay. So that's the apartheid. Hold on, there's another thing I have to add here too. What the fuck? No, don't embed it. No, stop. Go away. NGO. I'm not gonna read it. There's no way I can fucking read all this. It's like a 200-page report. Okay, or it's one fucking picture. Yeah, I'm not reading all that, but I'll read some of it. And then this is just a Times of Israel article. I don't really care. Okay. Fuck, where'd I put the Sam Harris one? All right. Sick. In there. Cool. Okay, back to this. Dude, my live preview is behind. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So what have we learned? Okay. How do you spell Tendentious. Am I saying that right? Tendentious. Okay. Tendentious. Okay. Okay. Both Israel and let's say Israel and actors outside of Israel have been using tendentious interpretations of international law. Interpret. That's close enough, right? There we go. Hold on. How do they phrase it first? Wait for. How do I phrase it? Outside the scope of what is generally accepted to be outside the scope of not traditional, I don't know, generally accepted interpretations of international law. And then made in Israel. Seek to justify Israel's illegal actions outside the scope. All right. Cool. All right, and it said it'll focus on 3 things. So why wouldn't I want to do that? God, I need to get used to this, man. Occupation of Gaza, advance warning in northern Gaza. Use of force. Okay. Occupation of Gaza. I know a little bit about this shit. I think Israel will argue that since they withdrew all their troops and settlements in 2005, well, they're no longer occupying Gaza. Because pre-October 7th, now they obviously are. And then Gaza and NGOs and stuff will say, well, that might be true, but you also control all their borders. You have the blockade on them, so you control all their airspace. You control a lot of their electricity. People say they control a lot of their water. I don't think they control that much of their water. I think they control 10% of Gaza's water. But the water that does come from Gaza is from ground wells, and it's unsafe, and people can't drink it. So, yeah. So almost everything in Gaza is sort of controlled by nothing really gets in or out without Israel's permission. Egypt authorized their border, which they have some control over. I need to do more. I need to read more on the blockade because I'm really conflicted on the blockade. Because on one hand, Israel won't let a lot of stuff in that it doesn't seem like they have that much justification for not letting in. Especially when it comes to I think they've eased it pre-October 7th. They eased it a little bit at various times, but when it first started, they wouldn't let cookies and soda in. Is one thing I've heard, and it's well, what the fuck? And then now they're not even letting aid trucks in a lot of times, and that gets really that borders on. I need to do more research on collective punishment. That looks like it could be collective punishment. Saying you're not going to allow aid trucks to civilians just because of Hamas, that does seem like it could be collective punishment. There's even a UN investigation that ruled it was collective punishment. But that was after a previous one, which ruled that it wasn't. So it's still kind of contentious. And again, you remember how I was saying well, we can't just have countries not allowed to go to war for each other just because it might damage civilians, right? We have to protect countries' rights to self-defense. I would argue if Hamas, literally, Iran and Syria will fucking get ships and drop weapons into the ocean, and then Hamas will fucking go scuba dive up those weapons and then use it to make rockets that they launch into fucking Israel. We have to be able to say, okay, Israel obviously has to have some right here to say there are literally people dropping weapons that are being used against me into the ocean. I have to be able to set up a blockade there. It seems like we should protect Israel's right to do that, even if it does mean that Gaza can't engage in regular shipping, because holy fuck, yeah, you can't have that. Anyways, the occupation of Gaza. The question of whether Gaza remains occupied after Israel withdrew all of its troops from the territory in 2005, while remaining in control of most of the border crossings in and out of the Gaza Strip, the air and sea space, and some of the essential utilities and database, has been ongoing from almost the time of the actual withdrawal. It is interesting to note in this connection that Israel decided to remove its troops from Gaza, from the Gaza-Egypt border, despite critical military significance, based on a point of view that the removal of all boots on the ground would be in necessarily order. Dude, I can't speak. Hold on. Okay, we're rereading that sentence. Despite its critical military significance, based on a view that the removal of all boots on the ground would be necessary in order to legally end the occupation. Okay. Hold on, I gotta Google this real quick. Israel guards each, because I'm pretty sure Israeli troops still scan everything going into Gaza from Egypt. Yeah, well, I don't know what monitors means, but my understanding was that there's still Israeli IDF troops that will fucking search everything going in. Now Egypt lets Israel do that because Egypt is also worried about Hamas. But yeah. What? After inspection, they return to the crossing where aid is transferred. So they have to go through an Israeli inspection. Okay. Israel imposed a total siege on the following. Okay. monitors all act. What does monitors mean? Yeah, so they do still inspect it. 8 trucks drive through the Egyptian border gate before heading more than 40 kilometers to the Egyptian-Israel crossing for inspection as agreed in negotiations. So they do have to go through Israeli inspection, but it's not, I guess it wasn't at the crossing. It's in this fucking other town. Israel refuses to allow fuel in the Gaza, saying could be used. Yeah. But my guy, Dark Brandon, got around it by fucking airdropping MREs right into the hands of Palestinian children. It was so based, and it wasn't expired. Don't believe anyone telling you it was expired. It wasn't. There was a huge disinfo campaign because number one, there were 2 videos showing expired food. One of them, you could see the food wasn't even expired. The other one was an old video from November. So obviously the food's going to be expired now because it's a thing from November. And people were claiming that the food was expired in November when the video first surfaced, but it wasn't actually. Even in November, it was still good, and people were lying about it. Anyways. Okay, I gotta lock in, guys. Yep. Okay, this approach, in turn, was premised on the traditional understanding of the Hague's regulation conditions for the beginning and end of belligerent occupation, namely the actual presence of a hostile army in a foreign territory, entailing the capacity to substitute the government's authority of the lawful sovereign. To substitute the governance authority of the... Okay. In fact, in 2005, the same year in which the withdrawal or disengagement took place, the ICJ expressed itself clearly on the conditions for belligerent occupation in the Congo v. Uganda case. What the fuck was this about? Hold on. No, I don't want to stop citing the actual things. Why don't you just cite like a news article that I can skim through in 2 seconds? Where's the Wikipedia? Between the DRC, the Second Congo War. I just wanted to see that. I wanted to see the map. In order to reach a conclusion as to whether a state, the military forces of which are present in the territory of another state as a result of intervention, is an occupying power in the meaning of the term as understood by the fuck, I know what this term means too. God damn it. The law that governs... fuck, I knew that. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce it, though. Eusebella, I guess. Whatever. The court must examine whether there is sufficient evidence to demonstrate that the said authority was in fact established and exercised by the intervening state in the areas in question. In the present case, the court will need to satisfy itself that the Ugandan armed forces in the DRC were not only stationed in particular locations, but also that they have substituted their own authority for that of the colonies, I guess, government. In that event, any justification given by Uganda for its occupation would be of no relevance, nor would it be relevant whether I'm locking in. Nor would it be relevant whether or not Uganda had established a structured military administration of the territory occupied, holding that Uganda did not exercise any government authority outside of the fucking region in Congo. The court held that other regions of the country, including one in which Ugandan troops were physically stationed in an airport, were unoccupied. So that's interesting, because Israel... Fuck, I wish I knew more about the fucking way the government is structured in the settlements, because there's some weird shit. Because Israel has a lot of control over the territories it occupies. And the settlements have like their own government, but they're still sort of under the Israeli government. Are you Team Palestine or Team Israel? That's what I'm trying to figure out, man. Yeah. See, they have this fucking council. And they're like their own government. Dude, pick a team. What the fuck? It's been months now. The problem, my position, whether or not I'm Team Israel or Team Palestine depends if I'm talking to a crazy person on either side. I'm relatively moderate. I got a lot of lukewarm takes. Lukewarm, liberal, both sides, bad takes. So it's hard for me to pick a side without knowing like who I'm going against. Libtard. Okay. Holding that. Yep. Okay. Read that. Nevertheless, when it came to evaluating the legal effects of the Israeli withdrawal, the concomitant dismant. What does this mean? Something that accompanies or collaterally connected with something else. Okay. Why didn't they just fucking use that? Dismantling of the IDF's Gaza military governance apparatus and the assumption of control over Gaza by the Palestinian Authority. I don't. It's a stupid fucking word. Just use accompaniment. Accompaniment. Why wouldn't you just say accompany? Trying to sound stupid smart. Anyways, different standard has been applied by a number of international actors, including organizations such as the the International Committee of the Red Cross. This new standard effectively waived its traditional requirements of physical presence or substitute. And okay, yeah. Damn, journalists and the big words, true. Okay, this guy sent a log message. I can't read it all. Palestine activists is annoying hell on Twitter because they keep posting AI pics of children in Gaza buried under rocks for whatever reason when you can just use real pics. True. I haven't seen AI pictures of children under rocks. I've seen that alleged picture of the baby allegedly was AI generated, but I don't think there was any actual evidence that it was AI generated. The problem I have with people posting pictures like that is that they're never used to just like talk about how bad the cost of war is. Like the cost of war is bad. It's horrible, obviously, but it's never used to say like, look at this horrible thing that's happening. It's always just used to say apartheid, genocide, open air prison, apartheid, and it's just fucking annoying because it's like, because you can make an argument where you could say Israel's gains have been slowing down. The cost of eliminating the remaining Hamas members is getting higher and higher as the population is getting more and more dense in Gaza as they're being pushed to more to like Rafah, right? But it's never used to say that. It's just used to say apartheid, genocide, open air. Yeah. Israel's cringe because they're obviously lying about war crimes and hiding behind calling everyone anti-Semitic. Well, they do like to do that. Fuck, what did I click on? I don't know. The problem is, I need to read more of this. I'm reading about international law right now. The problem is, I understand why Israel wants to hide from some of their war crimes, because it seems like if you give an inch, they'll take a mile, because the people going after Israel for war crimes don't just want to go after them for like the actual cringe stuff they've done. They want to go after them for like more general crimes of apartheid and genocide, which I don't necessarily think Israel's guilty of. So I understand why they don't want to submit to the authorities some of these things, even though they really should, and they are really big problems with like whether or not, like, when an IDF soldier fucks up and murders somebody, like obviously murders somebody that they shouldn't have shot, like they don't get prosecuted correctly. They get very like light sentences, and Netanyahu will fucking pardon them. Yeah, both sides cringe is my takeaway. So you're a libtard too. Shut up, man. Okay. A 2012 article by a ICRC lawyer. Hold on, wait. I want to take one note on this. Because it said they have to be substituting their own authority for that. Okay. Come on. Considered an occupation under international law. Hold on, where's the first time it says substitution? And occupying force has to be substituting. Yeah, I forgot all about the third world list types who, yeah. Well, that's what I hate. I don't know. The problem was, in 1948, there probably was actually a just reason for Palestinians to fight. Now, the way they fought was also bad sometimes, because there were massacres of Jewish villages. Now, there were probably a lot more massacres of Palestinian villages by Zionist forces. But the problem is, they tried fighting, they lost. The solution can't be that they just try and keep fighting forever and ever and ever because this land was stolen from them how many ever fucking years ago. That just can't be the way the world works, because otherwise there's going to be conflict everywhere all the time. At some point, you have to start making concessions for peace, and it feels like at times Israel has been willing to do that, and Palestine really hasn't been willing to do that much. Yeah, it's not fair. True. Cough, Russia. True. Oh, you followed? No way. I forgot all my stupid thug shaker shit is still set up. This is appropriate for the Israeli-Palestinian conversations, right? Dude, what the fuck? What's the issue? I don't see the big deal, man. I'm not even in control. It's my computer's. It's just in OBS, and like I don't know why it does it, and like I don't know what the deal is. Like I don't know what the issue. I don't see what the.
Shit, you already know I'm obsessed with it.
What's the?
I can't get enough.
OBS.
Back with another milk. Help!
Okay, anyway. So what it said something about the assumption. Okay. Okay, this new standard effectively waives the traditional requirements of physical presence or substitute. Okay. I might just quote this whole thing. So this is made for Israel. Can I trim this down? Well, I gotta find out the weight. Okay. Do we even need this word at all? Does this change it at all? The dismantling of the IDF or of the IDF, Gaza military governance, and they don't even need the fucking word at all. It doesn't even change the fucking meaning if you don't have it. And the assumption of control. I'm gonna like add a word. Because I think it reads better if you have like handing. The assumption of handing control. Fuck. Okay. It's in my notes. It doesn't even matter if it's an exact quote. Handing over control of Gaza to. Hold on. Fuck this quote. Why did it fight? Whatever. Traditional standard of substituting government, lawful sovereign. And then, there we go. Perfect. All right. Where was I? So I read that. Okay. A 2012 article by a RC lawyer, which appears to reflect some of the legal thinking in the ICR on the matter provided. What's this? International? Is it the Red? Yeah, Red Cross. Okay. In principle, this test applies equally for the beginning and end of an occupation. In fact, the criteria to be met in order to establish the end of an occupation should generally mirror the ones used to determine its beginning. In other words, the criteria should be the same for the beginning of an occupation, but in reverse. Therefore, the physical presence of foreign forces, their ability to enforce authority over the territory concerned in lieu of existing local government's authority, and the continued absence of local government authorities' consent on the foreign power's presence cumulatively should be scrutinized when addressing the termination of an occupation. If any of these conditions cease to exist, the occupation should be considered to have ended. Still, an exception to the rule was proposed. However, in some specific and exceptional cases, in particular when foreign forces withdraw from occupied territory or parts thereof, while retaining key elements of authority or important governmental functions therein, which are typical of those usually taken on by an occupying power, it is proposed here that occupation law might continue to apply within the territorial and functional limits of their competences. I don't. I don't like that. However, in specific and exceptional cases, in particular when foreign forces withdraw, I just don't like that these words are supposed to have meaning. If you say occupation, that has a specific connotation to it. That like they're occupying it. There are forces on the ground occupying it, substituting control. Right? It seems like I don't want to just call it a blockade. I'm fine if you argue that the blockade is bad, because there probably are a lot of things with the blockade that are bad. But why do you have to describe it as an occupation like all the time? That seems like a dumb rule. It seems like a bullshit rule. Fuck this rule. Okay. While this proposal was presented as specific and exceptional, tentative might continue and unclear in its implications. Whatever. The timing in which it was raised and the specific conditions it enumerated leave little doubt that it is formulated against the backdrop of the Gaza withdrawal and an ensuing legal uncertainty concerning the application of international humanitarian law to that situation. And in the event, this proposal became the basis for claims directed only against one state, Israel, see here, to continue and assume the obligations found under the laws of belligerent occupation, vis-a-vis a region after the complete withdrawal of all military presence from the territory. I just seem like I don't even care. Like, you can even argue the blockade is illegal. Like, you can do that, and that's fine. We need to open borders for Israel. True. I'm pretty sure. Fuck. I want to read more about the Gaza work permits too. I'm pretty sure Israel lets people from Gaza go to the West Bank and Israel to work if they have the right permits. Yeah. But then there were I don't know. They've done some shit too. Like, I think there were cases where people in the Gaza Strip, if they needed medical care, that was only available in the West Bank because the West Bank's a lot more developed than the Gaza Strip. Like, Israel would make them provide intel on Hamas. And Israel would literally make them risk their lives. Because Hamas will imprison people in the Gaza Strip if they find out they're collaborating with the IDF in any way. Hamas will imprison Palestinians and torture them. And Israel would literally make people risk their lives to get medical care. That's pretty fucked up. But I think Israel has generally, because another claim people would bring up is Gaza has 50% unemployment or something. Stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure Israel has in the past been relatively open to the idea of Gazans coming into Israel and working in Israel for money. Consequently, it was made. Consequently, hold on, I read this right. Yep. Okay. I stop. I don't. Can I get rid of this stupid ass share box? I don't want to. Why would I want to do this? Consequently, killer post. Okay. Consequently, it was maintained by several international actors, including the UN bodies and scholars, that Israel continues to occupy Gaza, although it was no longer in a position to fulfill the very basic obligations of the law that the law of occupation imposes through Article 4. Yeah, okay. And exercise no effective control over the area, as illustrated by Hamas's massive military buildup in the same area. Such claims ignore the deviation of this position from mainstream positions on the applicability of the laws of occupation, the text of the Hague regulations to ICJ Congo v. Uganda decision, and the logic applying the laws of belligerent occupation only to situations involving a governance vacuum due to the substitution of one government's authority by another. Such claims also ignore the availability of other, more suitable legal frameworks, such as the law governing armed conflict, including its provisions on the siege and blockade and international human rights law. Yeah, that's another thing. It is just a more suitable legal framework to say the blockade is collective punishment than it is to say Israel is somehow occupying Gaza. Yeah. Hold on, I like that. Fuck this also, don't need it. The insistence on an expansive and distorted, I call it Guza. Yeah, true. The insistence of an expansive and distorted interpretation of law of occupation, thus in our eyes, a pragmatic example of international law made for Israel. In recent weeks, we are seeing an even more distorted view of the application of the law of occupation towards Israel, where the Red Cross, whatever the fuck, position on Israel's relationship with Gaza is just a partial application of the law of occupation on a functional basis, reflecting the reality in which Israel no longer controls many aspects of life inside Gaza. Some commenters seem now to suggest a full application of the law of occupation on the morning on. Some commentators seem now to suggest a full application of the law of occupation on the morning on October 7th. I mean, Israel's explicit goal is to basically occupy Gaza after October 7th, but that kind of makes sense because Hamas is the ruling authority in Gaza, and Israel probably has justification for trying to get rid of Hamas. Thus, for example, it would suggest that since Israel is still the occupying force in Gaza, it had no right to self-defense towards the Gaza Strip. Ooh, that's interesting. Denying that Israel has the right to self-defense against Hamas from the Gaza Strip, by virtue of its alleged occupation status, clearly flies in the face of the realities of Israel's actual lack of control over the Gaza Strip, where it was attacked by Hamas in full force. That's true. If Israel is really occupying the Gaza Strip, how can it be that they had so little control over it that Hamas was literally able to invade Israeli territory from the Gaza Strip? I didn't know that. So if you're an occupying I guess that makes sense. If you're an occupying power, yeah, you probably don't really have the right to self-defense in a territory you occupy because it's a territory you occupy. You're the ruling authority there. So you're not really going to have the same right to self-defense as like if another nation attacks you. Damn. Okay. I wonder if there's a better way. Okay, so I should say what the fuck is this music? Don't care. if I can't say if Gaza was considered another nation because obviously Gaza. I guess I'm gonna say it otherwise would have. So that seems bad because we have to protect nations' right to self-defense. So how did they phrase it? So they say flies in the face of reality, actual lack of control. And then I need a way to phrase this. Like, it's obviously bad if we can't protect the nation's right to self-defense. What's it? I might come back to that later because I need a good way to phrase it. Hello. Can I drag this up? No. Okay. Hold on, let me drag it down. Why does it do that? I hate this stupid fucking... For this note... It's so weird. I like it better than Google Docs. It lets you do stuff with it, and it looks better. And I like it better than Obsidian, because Obsidian is even weirder with the fucking way it lays out the stuff. But like, it's so annoying. Like, I can't even like increase the text size, but you can't do it with Obsidian either. It's like, yeah, like why can't I just like why isn't there just a button to increase the text size? The only way to do it is there's a bunch of presets, like heading 1, heading 2, and all this stuff. Just let me fucking increase it to the size I want. Okay. There's also, I have to do more reading because Israel obviously occupies Area C in the West Bank. I'm obviously Team PC. Look at me. Okay, chat. Twerk break, real quick. Okay. Can we get a Vegeta reacts to this? I forgot it's broken. Oh, it's still the shit from the horse. Yeah, I look like I came on my PC. God damn it. Fuck. I'm going to take that as a compliment. I'm going to take that as my stream setup is so nice that you can tell that I spend so much effort on it. All right. Advance warning in northern Gaza. Whereas the applicability of the law of belligerent occupation provides an important legal context to the application of international law to the Israeli-Hamas war, particularly two noteworthy claims were raised during the war, appear also to meet the same made for Israel pattern. These are the claim regarding the illegality of providing advance warning to the Palestinians residents in northern Gaza to leave, and the claim that Israel's right to self-defense is limited by the overall extent of humanitarian harm it entails. I thought this was kind of true because of proportionality. Like attacks the amount of civilians killed has to be proportional to the military gain. So you can't kill 1,000 civilians just to get rid of one lone Hamas member, like low-ranking Hamas member. So in that sense, your right to self-defense is limited by how much humanitarian harm it entails. The duty to... There's another thing I have to read after this. There's the duty to warn. It might not be in here, but I need to read that too. We might read that next. Fucking hell. The duty to provide early warning is described in the first additional protocol, which reads that effective advanced warnings should be given of attacks which may affect the civilian population unless circumstances do not permit. Although Israel is not party to the protocol, it considers the duty to provide advance warning to be part of customary international law. The International Red Cross Committee. Hold on, what is it? International Committee of the Red Cross? That's such a weird. Okay. There have been many examples of such warnings in the past. Towns subject to attack were frequently declared. What? Oh, commentary. Okay. There have been many examples of such warnings in the past. Towns subject to attack were frequently declared open cities. In other cases, the population was evacuated. Warnings may have a general character. A belligerent could, for example, give notice by radio that he will attack certain types of installations or factories. A warning could also contain a list of the objectives that it will be attacked. Well, Israel just said evacuate all of northern Gaza, right? Prior to its ground maneuver in Gaza, Israeli authorities issued a general warning to the civilian population in Gaza. God fucking damn it. What did I even click on? To the population in Gaza, advising them to head south in order to extradite themselves from the areas in which heavy fighting was anticipated. Latter warnings also specified safe routes that should be taken at precise hours. That was a big thing. That is a big. I like bringing that up to people. Israel literally had safe corridors where they said specifically from these hours to these hours, we are going to let civilians move from northern Gaza to southern Gaza, and we're not going to fight Hamas during those times. And we're going to actively protect the civilians in those safe corridors. Like you can see, Israel turned safe corridor to South Gaza into trap to kill hungry, forcefully displaced Palestinians. Oh, okay. Apparently not. Or maybe it was all a trap. I don't know. I'll have to read that later, but they literally specifically had safe corridors for people. Hold on, when was this? Oh, this was recent. Israeli forces kill. Oh, it's just a flower thing. During the forced evacuation of over 300 civilians. I think it was just about the flower massacre thing, right? People are calling the flower. Because this was also. Yeah, 6 days ago was February. I guess it was. I don't know. I think this is just about. I think this is such a misleading headline if it really is about the flower massacre, because what happened at the flower massacre was that Israeli troops reportedly felt threatened by some of the way the civilians were acting, and then basically opened fire on ones that they felt threatened by. Now, whether they actually had justification to feel threatened, and as an IDF soldier, you have a responsibility to handle those situations more responsibly. But it doesn't seem like, I don't know, the problem is Israel does fuck up, but every time Israel fucks up, it just seems like a consequence of bad training, and maybe sometimes it probably is radicalized IDF members who probably do not like Palestinians very much, but it doesn't seem like they're ever doing it as a matter of policy. Yeah. And all the headlines make it seem like they did this all intentionally. which doesn't seem like that's the case. Prior to its ground maneuver in Gaza, we read that. The IDF provided. Yep, okay. The IDF provided security to such evacuation corridors, like I said, against alleged attempts by Hamas to harm civilians evacuating south. That's another thing. Hamas definitely told everyone in northern Gaza not to go to southern Gaza. We'll read that later. What is not a human shielding? Whereas one could question whether the duty provided in Article 57 applies only to warnings connected to specific attacks. It appears quite clear, as examined by Professor Michael Schmidt and by an International Red Cross Committee commentary to the additional protocol, that such an advance warning is good practice, which is not only permitted by international humanitarian law, but contributes generally to the aim of minimizing civilian harms. It is therefore compatible with Israel's constant care obligation under IHL. So I want to write down specifically the duty to warn. Then this is the fucking opinion. So they can be pretty general. Still, the IDF's warnings have been heavily criticized by a number of observers and stakeholders, not only due to concerns or due to certain aspects with which, if proven accurate, are legitimate concerns for or under existing IHL, the safety of roads leading out of northern Gaza, conditions in the safe areas, and the retention of civilian status by those who stay behind. But also by reason, that's another thing. I wonder if you have been, I need someone to answer this. If you have been warned to evacuate and you choose not to, do you get any less protection? Or is it still the same? I'm pretty sure it's still the same. It should probably still be the same. But I wonder if you get less. But also by reason of claim suggesting that the very order or instruction to evacuate northern Gaza constitutes unlawful acts of forced displacement. One of the first statements on the legality of advance warning was issued by the International Red Cross Committee on October 13th. The instructions issued by Israeli authorities for the population of Gaza City to immediately leave their homes, coupled with the complete siege, denying them food, water, and electricity, are not compatible with international humanitarian law. That's a problem is for Israel. It's all roads lead to ethnic cleansing, or all roads lead to genocide. It's if you warn them to evacuate, you're displacing them, and that's genocide, or at least ethnic cleansing. And then if you don't warn them, then you end up killing them as collateral damage while you're trying to attack other people, and that's also genocide or ethnic cleansing. Even though warning them is obviously far better. As far as the ICRC's position was not meant to convey that the warning was not effective due to harsh humanitarian conditions around the Gaza Strip. It represents an awkward but still perhaps plausible interpretation of existing IHL. Still, we are of the view that were even the complete siege policy implemented throughout the Gaza Strip, in fact wasn't implemented in southern Gaza. Oh, no way. I didn't know this. This was October 15th, though, so I wonder if it's changed since then. I don't know. I'll leave it here. Guys, don't tell people I said this, okay? But, it seems like a lot of more pro-Palestinian people, like the guy I'm about to do a podcast with in a day or two, don't really know the specifics of some of this stuff. And it's like, Israel is restricting Gaza's water supply. And it's like, okay, what's that mean? It's like, well, they can't get water into Gaza. It's like, can you elaborate more? And they don't really know anymore. They've just seen a headline that says Israel's restricting water access to Gaza. It's like you read into it more. It's like, well, they definitely did restrict some things, but like that headline just said, they're still letting water into into southern Gaza, and there's humanitarian shipments of water coming in. So even if the actual water supply, as in water like from Israel, is being cut off, they're shipping in water bottles. Yeah. Still, we are of the view that it wasn't there's still be good reasons to try to get civilians out of active fighting zones. In any event, for the purpose of this post, our main concern relates to the characterization of the International Committee Red Cross of the warnings as instructions. This rhetoric was escalated by international actors and academics who described the warnings as a forced displacement order. Okay, so they're emphasizing order. So I wonder, is it not illegal if it's not technically an order? Because if they conceivably, it could not be an order, but if Israel is saying, hey, we've opened up safe corridors for you to go through, and you can all leave the southern Gaza, and you can do it, during this time window, whatever. Otherwise, we're gonna fuck it, or regardless of whether you do or not, we're invading fucking northern Gaza, and there's gonna be fighting everywhere. Like, that's not technically an order. But like, do you really have a choice to stay behind if you think your fucking house is gonna be blown up? There's obviously some coercion of that. It is less clear to us what features render a lawful warning, or alternatively a lawful displacement for civilian security, or imperative military reasons, legally impermissible. One criticism offered appears to suggest that fuck off with the stupid Latin terms. Among other things, just say that, or just have in parentheses. You can say among other things, and then in parentheses have this stupid phrase, and then the next time you want to use the phrase, I'll know what it means. On the basis of international law, international criminal law, jurisprudence that dealt with displacements not justified by military or humanitarian considerations, that in order for evacuation to be legal, it should ensue that the choice to move to the south is fully voluntary. The general warning by the IDF, coupled with limits on access to humanitarian provisions, that's another thing. Yeah, arguably make it an involuntary choice. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can stay here, but we're not delivering aid here. We're delivering aid in southern Gaza only. Okay. This seems to us, however, an unrealistic understanding of the voluntary nature of the choice to stay or leave in the face of advance warnings. It ignores the fact that every advance warning, by definition, contains a very real choice constraining effect on a potentially impacted civilians, since the warning will only be issued if the attack is imminent. We are not aware of any international jurisprudence or state practice which negates the legality of otherwise lawful advance warnings on this basis. It is not clear to us how this case is different from the case of humanitarian evacuations from defended cities under siege, in which measures taken to enforce the siege could also be seen as a form of pressure on civilians. By contrast, some of the illegal forced displacement orders claims appear to rest on unstated factual assumptions that the true purpose of the Israeli ground invasion is not only to fight Hamas, but rather to ethnically cleanse parts of Gaza. These factual claims were negated by clear IDF statements that Palestinians will not be prevented from returning to the north. We are aware, of course, of some statements issued by politicians in Israel that call for the resettlement arrangements not involving the return of Palestinians to Gaza City. So, relies on elements of coercion that are present in all warnings of imminent attacks. Imminent attacks. And then what was the other thing? Oh, or rest on unfounded assumptions that Israel's true goal is not to fight Hamas, but to ethnically cleanse Gaza, ignoring statements that Palestinians so wrong will be allowed back to northern Gaza. Okay. Critics of Israel have been seizing on such outrageous statements to create the perception that they represent a government policy and advocate claims verging on conspiratorial that the evacuation was never meant to protect civilian lives, but rather initiate for the purpose of forced displacement. Initiated. As we have explained elsewhere, these... Hold on, I want to read this. Okay. It's not that long. I might read it. I'll do it later. Okay. These calls are largely made by political left-outs who have no real power in Israel's current decision-making apparatus. In any event, we see no reason to doubt the very real life-saving potential of the general warning, a point underscored by the very heavy fighting taking place in the past 3 weeks in northern Gaza. The new standard that is being advocated, which as far as we know, has only been raised in connection to Israel, seems to suggest that the armies involved in large-scale urban warfare cannot lawfully warn the entire population found inside the theater of hostilities and encourage it to leave, because that might be construed as an illegal forced displacement disorder. See, that's like what I was getting into. Is you want to create incentives for people to follow the parts of international law that protect civilian lives. So you have to also protect the right to self-defense, because if you don't protect Israel's right to invade northern Gaza, say, because you say if they make an evacuation order, like if an evacuation order is against international law, well, they're never going to make an evacuation order and they're still going to invade northern Gaza because obviously they have to for their own security. An application of this standard might either prevent military... See, I shouldn't go off on my tangents before reading the next part of the paragraph that just says what I was saying. An application of the standard might either prevent militaries from effectively fighting terrorists or guerrilla groups due to anticipated collateral harm, or worse still, result in widespread, unnecessary collateral harm. Oops. Copy. Paste. Good note taking. Both outcomes are incompatible with traditional readings of the duty to provide advance warning and nor the constant care requirements as balancing tools between military necessity and humanitarian concerns, through which parties to an armed conflict strive to give effort to the object and purpose of IHL treaties. The tension between these claims, the tension between the claims made and traditional misunderstandings of IHL underscore for us their politically motivated character. At least some of them appear to be aimed at creating legal conditions under which Israel would be castigated as an IHL violator if it continues with its military operation in northern Gaza, with civilians stay in place or leave to the south. Yeah, see. Either way, Israel's an IHL violator. What time is it? 1:38. Okay. I have to get up at like 11 tomorrow because my grandma's coming over to have lunch with me. Sorry, I stayed up late. I was locked in. One more torque break. It's only 160 milligrams of caffeine in here. My tolerance is built up enough that I can sleep through that. All right. Use of force. One final area in which made for Israel claims appear to be raised is the conditions under which states may resort to war or the use of armed force in general. So that's like, yeah, right to war. Because casus bellum or whatever. Or casus belli. Yeah. Okay. Claims relating to the very legality. Okay, claims appear to be raised. Wait, what? Okay, I'm substituting the definition. Does that make sense? The final area in which made for Israel claims appear to be raised is the cause for war claims relating to the very legality of Israel's use of force in Gaza in response to the attack and massacre of October 7th. Some claims which deal with the very applicable right to self-defense to the situation are actually not new and not wholly unique to Israel, but raise broad questions about the applicability of the UN Charter to use force in involving non-state actors in occupied territories. These claims have been effectively refuted by Professor whoever, and we have very little to add, except note that the Israeli official position that the armed conflict in Gaza has been ongoing. This effectively suggests that an earlier moment in time in 2023 should be looked at in order to evaluate the. In order to have. My brain is still broken. Oh my god. I want to get better at reading out loud one day. Okay? We're practicing. Should be looked at to evaluate the availability of Israel's right to use force. Fuck, now I have to read this too. What the fuck? Hold on, that should go. Like under here. It really should go under here. and here. One interesting claim in this regard suggests that the principle of proportionality, which limits the scope of the right to self-defense, applies not only to the relationship between the legitimate goals of defensive military action and the overall extent of force use, but also between the former and overall humanitarian harm caused by the defensive force. The assertion reflects this position at best. What? Oh my God, please just use normal words and then have the stupid words in parentheses. Future law. Okay. Future law, and that probably means current law. That's another thing. Stupid. You might already know this. Basically, proportionality refers to the military gain. Well, it says here. The relationship between the legitimate goals of defensive military action and the overall extent of force used. It doesn't mean just the amount of civilians killed between like Israel and Palestine. Just because 1,000 Israeli civilians died and 20,000 Palestinian civilians died, that's not disproportionate under international law. The proportionality is weighing the military gain versus the civilian cost, and it has to be. I'm pretty sure proportionality really only applies to like specific attacks. I don't think it applies to like the war in whole. I think it has to be specific, like strikes or whatever, or air raids and stuff. We agree with that assertion that the alternative claim is based on one expert report which cites that no state practice or judicial authority in support, which cites no state practice or judicial authority in support of its underlying conclusion. It cites, however, one article that proposes that there may be an emerging standard found in state practice relating to Israeli practices. Yeah, whatever. Hold on, where's the fucking Sam Harris article? Because I just remembered he talks about it in here too. Yeah. The term proportional is being widely misunderstood when talking about the war in Gaza. To be truly proportional in a way many people imagine the word is used, Israeli soldiers would need to rape, torture, and murder the same number of Palestinians, non-combatants, as Hamas raped, tortured, and murdered in Israel on October 7th. But of course, no one believes such reciprocal savagery would constitute a sane or ethical response to Hamas's violence. In fact, the concept of proportionality doesn't refer to the number of casualties on either side of a conflict, much less insist that they be equal. It simply states to weigh the military importance of actions against the resulting destruction of civilian life and property. Yeah. Thank you, Sam Harris. So this is just talking about whether Israel has the right to self-defense here. They already kind of went over that here. So some claim Israel lacks some rights to self-defense because of its status an occupying force. And then what else was there? This proportionality, this occupying force. Oh, because of its status as an occupying force and Hamas's. Is that how you would do that? Hamas's status as a non-state organization. Some also try and use the principle of proportionality to restrict Israel's right to self-defense. have the fucking Sam Harris quote. I might just have to do it like that. I love plagiarizing. It's not really plagiarizing because of my personal notes, but all right. The claim authorizes some state practice, all of which compose statements made in UN settings during debates around Israeli practices relating to the use of force in Gaza and Lebanon, actually underscoring our point that this is another case of international law made for Israel. It's quite striking that no similar statements can be found, as far as we know, in Security Council debates about relating to other use of force campaigns, including the recent campaigns against ISIS and Libya, the war in Yemen, etc. Given the fact that the cited statements hardly represent general and consistent state practices, and that they do not clarify whether they base themselves on traditional or new, that's the fucking cause for war stuff, proportionality analysis. Hold on, fuck, what's it? Okay. One of these is the cause for war. So this is the conditions under which state. So this is, right to war. Okay, right to war. The way that governs warfare is, okay. God fucking damn it. Just fucking, I don't know these big words. Just stop assuming I know this shit. So this is the way in which warfare is conducted. Or on extra-legal, moral, political proportionality considerations, it is difficult to see a case to be made that new law? Its most common translation, it's a law as it exists. So why wouldn't they just use the term for new law that I already had to look up earlier? Now it's just, god damn it. They had a term like this that meant new law, and I looked it up, and now they're saying new old law. Just use the term for fucking new law. The attempt to hold Israel, and only Israel, to its standards is thus legally suspicious. We would add that there's also doubt. We also doubt the practice of applying an overall humanitarian harm test under the Justice Bellum, if taken seriously. Such an evaluation should, at the least, take into account all future harms that Hamas may inflict upon Israel, especially given the former's genocidal intent to destroy the latter. The harm caused by the displacement of Israelis evacuated from their homes, as well as the displacement of Palestinians in future conflicts, that should also be taken into consideration. That's true. That's never brought up in proportionality things. Because even if you use the new bullshit proportionality thing, you have to take into account if Hamas still exists. Obviously, there's going to be more attacks to Israeli civilians. There's going to be more Palestinians displaced because of that, because Israel is going to be forced to respond. And then, Israeli civilians evacuated from the home as well. This complex analysis should also evaluate the effectiveness of alternative reactions, many of which were tested, tried, and failed over the years. We're skeptical whether such macro-level, multi-factored, and speculative analysis can generate clear legal results. Furthermore, harms-based Justice Bellum proportionality test might, if applied, imprudently reward aggressive parties to the conflict who deliberately violate the laws of war and put their own civilians and enemies in harm's way, thus deliberately restrict the self-defending party right to defend itself. That's true. They're talking about Hamas using human shields here. But the problem is you have to give human shields the same amount of protection as like regular civilians. which they're not saying they shouldn't do that, to be fair. It's just, yeah, like, obviously, like, Hamas is intentionally doing it to restrict Israel's right to self-defense, but not much you can do about it, because we have to still apply the law there. It appears to suggest that states should refrain from defending themselves due to the fact that the enemy forces they are fighting operate in wars that would allow defeating them only at very high humanitarian cost. But that, okay, I mean, kinda though, kinda have to do that if it really meant killing 1,000,000 people to get rid of Hamas. I mean, I get that would be disproportionate is the thing, which they would agree with. It'd probably be disproportionate. But they're not wrong. I don't like Ben Shapiro, obviously, but like one of the things he had his debate with a bunch of students in Oxford over Israel-Palestine. And like one of the questions he would ask whenever people brought up the civilian casualties or whoever, it's kind of a weird debate tactic. It's like I don't want to say it's a slimy debate tactic. It's a good debate tactic. Where he went, so what I'm hearing is you think you should be immune if or you think Hamas should be immune if they hide with civilians. Which you can say that, but then just own up to that. Say that. And it's obviously hard for people to say that Hamas should be immune just because they hide with civilians, right? But that is the implication of all these fucking crazy arguments, is that if a terrorist hides with civilians and uses human shields, all the fucking cries about genocide seem to imply that Hamas should just be immune because the cost is too high. This would mean a state confronting enemy, be it a state or non-state actor, which locates strategic targets in defense in dense populated centers, denies civilians the possibility to leave the theater of hostilities, and prevents them from building bomb shelters. All of these conditions appear to exist in the Gaza Strip, would be legally denied the possibility of effectively mount a self-defense campaign. Oops. Copy. I like this quote. What's a good way to summarize? So I don't know. International human law has to protect a state's right to defend itself, even if I guess the enemy is using human shields, although proportionality really proportionality should still apply. Arguments against this grant immunity to terrorists. I don't really want to say human shields because human shields is kind of a dumb term. To terrorist, I guess, oper out of civilian areas. It doesn't even have to be terrorists, it has to be enemies. Hello, there we go. Okay, we're almost done with this one. questions whether or not the why does it start? Okay. Questions whether or not there is a duty to self-sacrifice and refrain from exercising self-defense in a view of significant harm to the aggressor or passerbys are thorny, even in philosophical debates about the ethics of war. Yeah, I don't. Listen, I don't like this argument too much, but obviously, Israel is far more powerful than Hamas, than any Palestinian group, right? They have all their fucking modern military tech. A lot of it supplied by the U.S., where obviously you have the best fucking weapons. I don't know. If you have that much of an advantage, you have to be willing to risk some harm to yourself to prevent civilian casualties on the other side. Yeah. Transposing such debates into legal obligations would prevent states from effectively defending themselves against aggressors. Appears difficult, perhaps hopelessly so. What is clear to us is that this debate is still at a very, what is this word? Nascent. Just coming to existence. Okay. It's still in a very nascent stage. The idea proposed by some scholars that there is already settled international law on this issue which binds Israel seems to be unconvincing, to put it mildly. Based. Okay. Conclusion. Give me time. Okay. I wonder if Tony's still here. Tony, are you still here? I don't think Tony's here. My one fan. Can we get Nathan in here? Do you think Nathan wants to watch this? Is Melanie online? I can get Melanie to watch it. I don't think anyone's online. That's a shame. Okay. Conclusion. We should make our position clear in two respects. First, we believe in the gradual development of international law, and we are on record for supporting developments in areas such as assessing the cumulative damage to civilians from military campaigns. I hate the stupid. Why does YouTube always get so delayed? Okay. Such development should be made gradually and consciously, however, with clarity and transparency about the current state of law. Such development should also be aimed at introducing universally applicable standards and not standards that would realistically apply only to one specific case. Otherwise, such developments would not enjoy any international legitimacy and would be doomed to fail. Second, we are of the view that there is plenty of room to criticize and seriously discuss Israel's international lock in. Okay. Second, we are of the view that there is plenty of room to criticize and seriously discuss Israel's international practice and its conduct in the current conflict in particular. Mark Latimer's recent piece evaluating Israel's proportionality analysis based on the fucking Israeli name strike seems to be an excellent example of such a method of criticism, comparing Israel's practices in the U.S., comparing Israel's practices with the U.S. and U.K.'s practice, and refraining from resorting to international law made for Israel. That's another thing which I super hate about, more pro-Palestinian people, is that I want to be able to criticize Israel, but anytime, I say, Israel's doing something bad, it seems like, well, do you think that's genocide? It's like, no, it's not genocide. It can be bad. It doesn't have to be genocide, okay? You can say, I'm assuming this article does, Sometimes Israel engages in disproportionate attacks. Sometimes Israeli troops fuck up real badly. And I can't do that without being called a liberal, genocide-denying, fucking stupid person. That's super frustrating. And then I get lumped in as pro-Israel, which compared with them, I am pro-Israel. But then, like, we can go to r/Israel and see all my fucking comments that get downloaded there, because some of this shit r/Israel is unhinged. And they'll post like unhinged shit. Yeah, like there's this post. Like Saudi Arabia slams Israel for trying to Judaize West Bank homes with thousands of new settlement homes. Judaize, that term is anti-Semitic when used negatively. It's like maybe saying Judaizing maybe they shouldn't have done that. But Israel is absolutely trying to annex Area C of the West Bank by building settlements and strengthening their claim to it. They just announced, like, recently that they're building new homes there as punishment for, I forget the organ. It wasn't Hamas, but it was some attack by Palestinian forces in the West Bank. And they're like, we're literally going to punish you by building settlements. That is unhinged. And I get lumped in to the people defending that because I'm pro-Israel. When obviously that's unhinged. Anyway, speaking of high emotions. Given the high emotions surrounding the long and bloody Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it is not surprising that parties on both sides of the conflict and their supporters have been making tenuous made in Israel or made for Israel claims. The continuation of such practice generates much cynicism towards international law and international law considerations. It also obfuscates the terms of debate that should surround, in our view, the serious questions of interpretation and application of international law arising in Israel-Hamas war. These include questions concerning Israel's targeting decisions and proportionality calculuses, its northern Gaza siege policy, and how to respond to the extensive abuse of military facilities by Hamas, and how to obtain criminal prosecutions of the architects of October 7th massacre and hostage-taking operation. To serve its purpose of guiding the conduct of states and other international actors toward more fair and just international conditions, international law must remain a high degree of legitimacy or be equipped with strong enforcement machinery and serve as a common legal language. Legal claims that are viewed as doubtful by nature, applied selectively and based on dubious law interpretations and law identification methodologies, are unlikely to succeed in changing state practice. Furthermore, they also undermine the credibility of international law as a legal system and thus adversely affect compliance with other less controversial international law claims. Base. That's another thing for the fucking podcast episode I'm doing in a few days, hopefully. One thing that I'm a big fan of international law. I really like international law shit. Okay, like I really like the idea of creating rules, and we try to all uphold them. Like that was one of the things. Like me and the other guy who's debating me, Andrew, disagreed with about Russia and Ukraine. Like I remember, like we've had arguments about it, and I'll talk about like international law. So one thing for like Israel and Palestine is he'll like cite things about international law, and I'm like, well, I think that's kind of stupid. That's kind of a bad international law standard. And he'll be really confused because it's like, oh, you claim to care so much about international law, and yet anytime I cite some international law stuff, you just say it's bullshit and it doesn't matter. It's like, well, that's because I don't want international law to be undermined in the way it obviously will be if we try to uphold these shitty ass impossible standards. And another thing, I need to be. Hold on. Okay, I'm opening Paint. There's something called. There's connotation and there's denotation, okay? So, like, connotation is like what sort of comes to mind when you think of a term. So, we'll say, like, genocide. And denotation is like kind of how you define a word. And more super pro-Palestinian people have this problem where, like, they try to expand the denotation so much such that not only are things like the Holocaust, genocide, but like what's happening in Israel and like Gaza right now, it's genocide. And they try to expand this definition. Really, hold on, this should be like down here because they're not even remotely comparable. And they try to expand the definition of genocide so much to include this, but then they try to keep the same connotation that we get from associating the term genocide with the Holocaust. And it's like, really, if you want to expand the denotation, you also have to expand the connotation. And it seems like if we define genocide to include this stuff right now, then it seems really, then it would be hard to say like all genocide is a bad thing. And it seems like it's kind of important that the term genocide refers to something that's bad. So that's two things. I need to set those two things up. I'll work on like a opening statement later. It's important to, yeah, to sort of say something can be bad, but you're trying to keep a super negative connotation while expanding the denotation so much. And then also the international law stuff. You're expanding these international law standards so much that they aren't useful and they are actively undermining the entire legal system because it makes states less likely to follow them. I don't know if I want to add anything to from the conclusion to this, but I'll add it to like my opening. I'll say read conclusion. Expanding undermines and then what else? The connotation, or I guess it'd say expanding denotation. I'm using these terms correctly, right? Yeah, denotation and connotation. Connotation. Yeah, the implied meaning. All right. but I don't know. Like, I don't know where to put it exactly. I guess it has to go under. Okay. So, fuck, I didn't even realize how many fucking notes I took. It's barely even shorter than a fucking article. Okay, so I don't know what we title this. We'll title it Made for Israel IHL / Okay. Oh shit, everything's under there. Hold on. Let's get all of this stuff. What the fuck? How do I just drag it? No, I just want it out of the toggle thing, but I don't want it. I don't want it like next to it. Is it out of it? Nope. How do I get it out? What if I do like slash okay, what if I just copy these and close this and paste them? Okay, perfect. There has to be a way to do what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. And why is it so sensitive? Okay. All right. Sick. I should probably make this toggle heading too. Perfect. All right, chat. I need to pee. Hold on. Loop. And there we go. And then yeah, get rid of that. Oh wait. Fuck. Oh my god. Add scene. There we go. Alright, you can watch Vegeta react to my empty chair. chat. So long. I wonder if I can get AI to summarize it. I wonder if Gemini can. An article. Can you summarize it? Chat. Anyone know good AI thing? Okay, so you're just fucking lying, Google? Thanks. Oh, I have to copy and paste the text or upload a document directly. Well, I have it downloaded somewhere. Where is it? Fuck. What? Okay. That someone gonna let me do an image. Yeah, it only lets me do images. So how do I? PDF AI summarizer. What? How do I enable this? How do I use it? Okay. There's no thing how to use it. Okay. That's not what I want. Three bullet points. It's like a 50-page article. I need more than this. I think I already have all this stuff. The interpretation of the concept of intent in international law is examined in relation to the Rome Statute. The collapse distinction of personality in principle. Okay. Like, explain. I don't know what I need. Just more of everything. Write more. Legal concept of direct. Okay, wait. So I don't explain what types of intent are illegal when it comes to, I guess, attacks. Was it warfare? In warfare, generally, it literally, I've read this, I'm pretty sure it said this doesn't count as intent. I don't think that's right. Surely it'll be right. No way it's wrong. Oh, you're processing my content, really? Fuck. I'm gonna have to read it. God damn it. Okay, I'm gonna read this one tomorrow, probably. But we'll read this tonight. Is there... Okay, what time is it? Why doesn't it shit work? No, decisions. Come on. What? It's not spelled that wrong. Is it? Is there another S? I was about to write that time. Okay. No, don't embed. I don't want you to embed. All right. So, we're going to read this one. It isn't too long. Oh, it's already 2 a.m. Okay. We'll read this. Go to bed. Tomorrow I got to go to lunch with my grandma. Then I'll come back and I'll stream more. Okay, chat? No one's here, are they? Do I actually have 2 YouTube viewers? I feel like that's a lie. Chat, if anyone's here right now, chat, if there were 2 toilets. Okay. We can bang this out. Isn't that? We can bang this out. We can bang this out. No. Okay. Assessing Israel's approach to proportionality in the conduct of hostilities in Gaza. They did not have to name it so boring. Now I don't want to read it. Now it seems so much more boring. Okay, I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce this. Jabalia. Okay. The Jabalia strike indicates that the IDF tolerance for civilian casualties is multiples greater than that of the U.S. in the ISIS war. That's interesting because I read some comparisons to like how Israel's conducting its warfare in Gaza compared to like how we conducted our warfare in Iraq. I think it was the Mosul, yeah. Yeah, like how we bombed this place. I think there were a lot of civilian casualties. Oh wait, this was not what I'm thinking of. Hold on. Yeah. I don't know. I read some comparisons to what Israel's doing to this. That basically all said Israel's standard is a lot higher than ours was in this case. But I think our standards have changed a little bit. We seem to be pretty, ever since WikiLeaks, we seem to not like civilian casualties. That's why we made our non-explosive drones that just have knives in them. Okay. Since the start of Israel's current military operations in Gaza, launched in response to the murderous October 7th attack, in which over 1,200 Israelis and foreigners were killed, reports of mass civilian casualties in Gaza have been met with a barrage of claims and counterclaims regarding attribution, responsibility, justification, and, of course, legality. The absence of serious investigations on the ground has led to some experts to caution that no firm conclusion can be drawn about whether a particular attack is lawful, even one that killed a very large number of civilians. The resulting confusion could almost lead one to despair about the practical contribution of international humanitarian law to regulating the conduct of hostilities, at least while they are ongoing. However, taking into account Israel's official statements regarding the specific attacks enables an early assessment to be made regarding the understanding proportionality employed by the Israeli Defense Force in their consideration of what may constitute excessive civilian deaths, whereas in the vast majority of cases, the IDF have only given very generic indications of objectives. In one of the largest attacks, the October 31st Jabalia camp strike, the IDF published details on the military objective and means of attack, providing an important insight into Israel's approach to proportionality in the conduct of hostilities in Gaza. Here I consider IHL and the relevant proportionality test and not other branches of law, which have separated the test of proportionality, including what was this? Is this the right to war? Please tell me I'm right on that one. Hold on. Yeah, right to war. Including the right to war and associated debates concerning Israel's right to defend itself. Okay, I'm gonna need to okay, tomorrow I'll have to really drop a good way to explain. Because I've said in conversations with guys previously, Israel probably has a bad way of assessing collateral damage. I've said that verbatim to him. God, and it's going to be hard to say. Again, it's a connotation denotation thing, where it's like, when you say genocide, it's this connotation of a very narrow thing, and you're denoting this very bad thing where not only is the Holocaust a genocide, but actually just having a bad collateral damage standard is also genocide. But really, if you're expanding the denotation, like, you have to expand a connotation. Like, it's... I need a good way to phrase that. I need to work on that tomorrow. I'll ask Gemini to work on it for me. Okay. The Jabalia camp attack. On October 31st, an Israeli attack struck the Jabalia camp. Okay, wait, hold on. I should write down the things right. Okay. So, some of Israel's attacks lack transparency on how targeting I can't listen to this song after Deep State. God damn it. God damn it. They're all, and it's so, I can't believe that that Jewish immigration to the land of Palestine. It's fucking fuck. It's all connected. It's all the deep state. Okay. Locking it. Where is it? Action transparency on how targeting decisions are made. How do you spell it? It is Jabalia camp strike offered unique insights into this and showcase Israel's high tolerance for collateral damage. Hold on, there's the same Harris quote I really like. All right, come on. Just real quick. This does not suggest Israel is committing genocide, as Sam Harris puts it. There are now two types of people in this world: those who intentionally torture and kill children and other non-combatants to maximize horror, and those who seek to avoid doing so, however imperfectly, whilst defending themselves against the first sort of people. Such a good quote. Such a good quote. And I'm going to quote it so much in the fucking debate. Because, yeah. God, I love Sam Harris so much. Okay. In the immediate aftermath of the strike, the surgical director of Jabalia's Indonesian hospital told the BBC that it had received more than 400 casualties, including 120 dead, and that the majority were women and children. The monitoring group Air Wars reported following an investigation that the attack had killed at least 126 civilians, including 69 children. God, by the way, those Oxford students that debated Ben Shapiro, I really wish they fucking read this article instead of whatever fucking TikToks they were watching, because you can make really good arguments against what Israel does, like this guy's gonna do, without just saying stupid shit. Oh my god. Get me a debate with Ben Shapiro. I think he would beat me by a lot really easily. But anyway. The IDF spokesperson confirmed that the attack had been an Israeli airstrike. Within hours, the IDF published a press release stating that the IDF fighter jets acting on intelligence from the Israeli security agency had killed a commander of Hamas's. Okay. I hope his name doesn't come up again because I'm not learning how to pronounce it. Commander of Hamas's Central Jabalia Battalion, described as one of the leaders of the October 7th massacre. Furthermore, the press release reads that his elimination was carried out as part of a wide-scale strike on terror infrastructure belonging to the Central Jabalia Battalion, which had taken control over civilian buildings in Gaza City. How many people did it say were dead? 120, mostly women and children. Probably not very proportional compared to one Hamas member. I don't know if he. I guess he was a leader, but I don't know if it was. Probably not. I'm gonna say probably not, guys. I'm gonna make a judgment here. The statement adds, underground terror infrastructure embedded beneath the buildings used by the terrorists also collapsed in the strike. Well, they got rid of that too. The Qassam Brigade's Hamas's military wing dismissed the claim that a commander had been killed, accused Israel of targeting civilians, and said that the attack had killed 7 of the hostages that had been kidnapped from Israel, including 3 hostages holding foreign passports. Okay, cool. God, as much as I don't like r/Israel, there's one really good meme I saw on it that was fuck, I wonder if I can find it. I might not be able to find it. I found it. You complain about civilian deaths with the hostages being released, but why were they surrounded by civilians? Yeah, why were they surrounded? It's yeah, obviously. Okay. Where was I? Taking the IDF statement at face value enables us to dismiss questions over attribution and the possibility of various forms of mistake, including target misidentification, pilot error, and weapons malfunction. The October 31st Javelin strike was no accident. It was an attack on a known military target, apparently executed as planned. But was it lawful? Proportionate civilian killing and in law and practice. Hold on, I should just write real quick. So it said 120 dead, mostly women, children. Or it said, yeah. Okay. All right. So was it lawful? As is well known, the killing of civilians is not necessarily unlawful under IHL. While intentional targeting of civilians is always prohibited, civilians may be lawfully killed if the harm is incidental to an attack on a military objective, and as stated in Protocol 51 in Article 51 of Protocol 1 of the Geneva Conventions, the expected loss of civilian life, injury to civilians, damage to civilian objects, or a combination thereof, is not excessive in retaliation to the concrete and direct military advantage anticipated. Neither Israel nor the U.S. is party to Protocol 1. Both accept the rule of proportionality in attacks as customary international law. I need to do more. I know what fucking the difference between all these articles and protocols is. But both accept the rule of proportionality as customary international law. The characteristics of the test have been subjected to extensive discussion. Emmanuel, blah, 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 whatever, offers a good summary in proportionality and the conduct of hostilities. It's probably not worth reading. I don't know, maybe one day. I already have one 50 fucking page report I'm going to have to read. It's important to recognize that the test is prospective. It does not depend on a post-facto assessment of actual civilian harm, but on balancing foreseeable civilian harm and anticipated military advantage based on the knowledge available to the commander at the time. It follows from this that proportionate killing of civilians is deliberate killing, even if IHL lawyers have a tendency to be reticent. Okay. Oh, I fucking knew that word. I could have, if I thought about it for a second, I would have got it. Damn it. I did pass English 4. Yes, I do know English. It's not harm that I write. I super don't like, the problem is the term deliberate. I guess that's the difference between deliberate killing and deliberate targeting. And that's probably a distinction I need to draw too. Because Israel, like every military, does deliberately kill civilians, but they don't deliberately target civilians, at least not as a matter of policy. Although civilian harm is not the aim of the attack, it is an outcome that is expected to be caused by the attack. Hold on, wait, let me add that to my fucking thing. Deliberate killing versus deliberate targeting. Every military deliberately kills civilians as foreseeable collateral. But few deliberately target civilians like Hamas does. Okay. In fact, in addition to the general duty to take constant care to spare civilians and take precautions to avoid or in any event minimize civilian harm, a commander who knows or suspects that civilians will be present at the site of a planned attack is obligated to make an estimation of civilian harm. In the U.S. military, in NATO military, this is known as collateral damage estimation. Only if the expected damage is proportionate, not excessive, can the attack be lawfully executed. Okay, so I want to add that. Okay. So that's another thing I've read with like this. Yeah, if a military commander anticipates that attacking a building may result in civilian casualties, why bother analyzing whether the collateral damage is proportional? Under a dolus eventualis view, the commander is already guilty of violating the principle of distinction. So if you sort of undermine the ability to kill civilians as collateral, well, nobody's ever going to engage in collateral damage examinations in trying to engage the proportionality, because the mere fact that you are deliberately killing civilians, or at least there's a foreseeable risk of deliberately killing civilians, if that's already a war crime, you're never going to engage in proportionality because you've already committed a war crime. So that's a really important thing to uphold. As bad as it is, it is. I will say it, chat. It is important that we uphold Israel's ability to deliberately kill civilians. That's gonna get a strike on my channel. I shouldn't just say Israel. It's important that we uphold that everywhere. But deliberately killing is different than deliberately targeting. YouTube rep, please watch the last 5 minutes so you understand the context of what I'm saying, and you understand that I'm not advocating anything genocidal. Thanks, YouTube rep. And Twitch rep. I'm somehow not banned on Twitch yet. Wait, am I banned on Twitch? It says I'm offline. I think it was just a network error. But it would be really funny if I was fucking banned on Twitch. Like my third account banned or whatever. I mean, my first Twitch account, Twitch. Okay. So I read that. Seeking to compare or balance two values that are not consumerably commensurable. Measurable. Yeah. Oh, I fucking commensurable. Obviously resembles the problem in moral philosophy rather than an exact science. Representing the test as an equation helps to illustrate this point. That's proportionality. There has been recent renewed interest in developing a quantifiable or at least standardized methodologies for assessing proportionality, including artificial intelligence assisted models. For a discussion, see here. To date, such models have been treated with submission, not least from humanitarians who understandably balk at using the prospect of decrying any level of civilian killing acceptable in advance. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe one day we'll get to the point where ChatGPT is better at examining proportionality than humans are, but goddamn. Hey, Google Bard. Is it okay if I kill just like 3 civilians to get rid of this Hamas leader? What are we thinking, Bard? What do we think? Microsoft Copilot. Dude, that's the next step. That's what Lockheed Martin needs. Lockheed Martin's going to develop a proportionality AI. Hey, Lockheed Martin Copilot. Is this attack proportional? Dude, right into the drone too. And it won't let you shoot if it's not proportional. Dude, that's awesome. I love AI. I like that idea. Okay. Perhaps the more immediate problem is communicating proportionality limitations to commanders and their subordinates who are unlikely to have a qualification in philosophy, who needs rules that can be operationalized efficiently and that can withstand the stress of battle. Where attacks are planned well in advance, there is time to take legal advice, but the problem is particularly acute in dynamic targeting, where forces are responding rapidly to evolving threats or opportunity. Don't forget to go back and make short form from the stream. That's a good contender. Maybe. I don't know how that would be like the one good clip that I can make short form content with. I don't think anything else would be that useful. That could be an animation though. I'm gonna hire someone off of Fiverr. Can you please make a animation of a drone or like some guy in an airplane talking to Lockheed Martin AI? Okay. Partly as a way of addressing this problem, the U.S. and its allies and coalition partners in the war of Afghanistan and Iraq developed the concept of non-combat casualty cutoff value. This effectively assigns an operational value to the parameter X for specific attacks or operations, at least as regards to death or serious injury. As with all rules of engagement, NCVs are classified. But my understanding was that our rules of engagement are public, and actually one of the big criticisms of Israel is that we don't really know what the rules of engagement are. So I'm pretty sure maybe this is like a more general international thing, but I'm pretty sure there's like we have like a set rules of engagement, or like you have to fire tracer rounds. No, I thought it was like fuck. I don't know. I remember one of them was tracer. I remember the reason I remember is because Knowing Better made a good video about police militarization, and like one of the points he's raised is like police are buying military equipment, but then they aren't held to the same standards that the military is with those with that military equipment. Unless, I guess maybe he was in the military, right? So I think what if this is a leak? He leaked the rules of engagement. Escalation, if that's what it's called. Yeah, it was like, but it's not like is that just an us thing that we created, or is that our all is that like Geneva Conventions? He said it was a war crime, so it's probably Geneva Conventions. I don't know. I'm gonna assume. I don't know, but that's one of the criticisms of Israel that I've heard, is that like we don't really know Well, this article mentioned it earlier. Like, they're not very transparent with how they're making these targeting decisions. So like it's impossible. Sometimes we don't know whether or not they just had bad intel and that's what ended up with the large civilian casualties, or whether they knew in advance that there would be a ton of civilian casualties and they just didn't care. Yeah. Okay. It is also important to recognize that ROEs are not in themselves statements of law. Their content can be determined by a range of operational factors, both strategic and tactical, including the need to maintain public confidence, whether in the theater of operations or at home. In the warlords, the United States, Israel and judicial warfare, Craig Jones describes how during the Afghanistan and Iraq wars, NCV shifted between operations and over time, and how different NATO coalition members set different NCV values. Lack of cohesive comparative data makes precise figures elusive, but it's nonetheless apparent that the median NCV was in the single digits, and that the United Kingdom and some other European nations had a lower tolerance for civilian casualties than the United States. But ROEs are also a primary mechanism by which IHL compliance is implemented in operations. In the words of a senior U.S. commander, all right. In the words of a senior U.S. commander, NCVs became for many years tools used to objectively quantify proportionality. That was kind of their purpose, wasn't it? Oh, I guess he's saying like it became that for international law, like used outside of like commanders' decisions. A key driver for the development of NCVs was an incident in 2001 where a proposed strike on the Taliban leader Mullah Omar was abandoned at the direct insistence of a U.S. military lawyer because 4 civilians were present at the attack site. 4 doesn't seem... That seems like it might be proportional, I'm not going to lie. A Taliban leader? Peter Griffin, former deputy commander of Operations and Intelligence for Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve, states that with Osama bin Laden, you'd have an NCV value of 30, but if you had a low-level commander, NCV was typically 0. We ran 0 for the longest time. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, when he was head of CENTCOM during the war on ISIS, would personally be called to authorize an operation with a high NCV of 14 or 15. But a problem is Gaza is like a really, really densely populated area. Like there are 2 problems that I could see. So number 1, Gaza is really densely populated, and number 2, Hamas operates almost exclusively out of civilian infrastructure, and especially in like basements, like underneath civilians. It's obviously hard to bomb the basement of a building without also bombing the building, right? So I wonder if it would be possible for Israel to even have an NCV of 14 or 15. Like with how densely populated Gaza is and with how Hamas operates. I don't know if that would even be practical. And international law has like not exceptions, but like we read this earlier where like it'll state like when practical, right? like to do to warn unless circumstances do not permit. Like these things are context dependent. Like you're not gonna have one NCV is not gonna be held the same everywhere, right? In places where it's more densely populated, an NCV might still be proportional even if it's higher. Yeah. The use of NCVs was reportedly removed from the U.S. military doctrine in 2008 following what was labeled at the time the largest urban battle since World War II, the siege of Mosul. This is probably what I was thinking. Yeah, this is what I think whenever the thousands of civilian casualties from the coalition operation in Mosul were memorably described as death by 1,000 proportional strikes. The Pentagon's Civilian Harm Mitigation and Response Action Plan, published last year, makes no mention of NCVs and outlines a more multifaceted approach to mitigating civilian harm. One of the main concerns about NCVs was that in a setting upper threshold for civilian casualties, they obscure the legal duty to avoid or at least minimize any civilian harm. Why? Or even worse, they could effectively function as a license to kill. I mean, I guess that it could be possible that setting that standard made it like the only thing that military commanders are looking at. It's like, as long as it's under the NCV, well, shit, it's fine, I guess. Yeah. That has to make sense. Okay. Collateral damage estimation in advance of the... Oh, wait, this is a new thing. Expected harm in a Jabalia camp attack. So... Fuck, I still haven't gotten to... Like, whether it's proportional. Okay. So... During NATO operations in Middle East, a lot of measures were put in place to try and, I guess, codify proportional, or what constitutes a proportional attack. Come on, proportional attack. Okay. What did NCV stand for? And then a high NCV was considered to be 14 or 15. And then he's going to say Israel's obviously a lot higher than that. But, hold on. Let me make a note. High is going to change with context. Gaza is densely populated, and Hamas operates out of civilian infrastructure, including in basements and tunnels located underneath populated buildings. It may not be practical to have NCV. 14. Let's say 15. While maintaining Israel's effective right to self-defense. Yeah, okay. Sick. Okay, we're like halfway through this. I need to speed up because it's 3:10 a.m. Okay. Oh wait, we're more than halfway through it. You're fine. Okay. One twerk break, and I'm gonna lock in, and I'll be done. I'll be done by 3:30, definitely. Right? I can do that. I can totally do that. I hope I can do that. Kyle, does it show 2 viewers for you? It shows 2 viewers for me, and I kind of maybe one of them's me, but YouTube usually doesn't count me as a viewer. But I don't think I have to. I don't think I have 2 people watching this. Yeah, no way. Maybe it's Melanie, but I feel like Melanie would have said something. Melanie's not online. All right. Okay. Lock in. I don't think it says 0. It says 0 on my end when I actually don't have any viewers, usually. YouTube does. Twitch doesn't. Twitch and Kick will always have 1, but YouTube lets me know when I don't have anyone watching. And I have 2 likes, and I haven't liked it. Maybe it's Nathan. Maybe Nathan's a really big fan of Israel-Palestine research. Okay. Lock in. This is my lock-in face. The collateral damage estimation in advance of the Jabalia strike would have included the following basic information. The United Nations had over 110,000 refugees registered in Jabalia over an area of 1.4 square meters, making Java exceptionally densely populated. By way of comparison, Manhattan has a population density of 28,000 per square meter. God damn. Yeah, so like running an NCV value of 15 in an area way more densely populated than Manhattan, that's just not, I don't think that's feasible. As much as it fucking sucks. Despite Israel's warning to Gaza population to move south, a significant portion of the civilian population in Jabalia remained on October 31st, as was evident by social media videos uploaded in the days immediately preceding the attack. Yeah, but they don't get any less protection just because they stayed. But it does, I mean, it shows Israel obviously tried to warn them. Other recent Israeli attacks in Jabalia had caused numerous civilian casualties, including dozens reportedly killed from an attack on October 9th, and civilians accounting for the majority of the 30 claimed killed from the attack on October 22nd. The reference to Israeli security agency and IDF statements indicate that the site was being actively surveilled, that a high level of intelligence was available to its commanders. Satellite visual analysis and attack shows at least 5 large craters. Jesus, I'm tired. Including 2 approximately 40 feet wide, consistent with the impact of 2,000 pound. It's the 2,000 pound bomb meme. 2,000 pound joint direct attack munitions. The attacks destroyed not just one residential apartment, but a whole block. Even if felt specific, and I also need to do more research. There's this like meme, but not like a joke meme, just a thing that like all the super pro-Palestinian people cite constantly. It's like Israel's using 2,000 pound bombs. they're trying to maximize civilian casualties. There are legitimate reasons to use 2,000-pound bombs, especially when your opponent is hiding in basements. But I need to read more, because my understanding is that there can be cases where using a 2,000-pound bomb arguably could result in less casualties than multiple 500-pound bombs. Yeah, but I don't know. I need to read more on that. Even without specific further intelligence, on the basis of the information, Israel's CDE must have resulted in a very high estimate for civilian casualties. Given the location, population spread, choice of weapons, the actual toll of hundreds of civilians killed or wounded would have been a reasonable expectation. Against this expected civilian harm, the IDF would need to have weighed the anticipated military advantage. Here some uncertainty remains as to Israel's approach, including the extent to which military advantage of each of the targets is assessed according to its own contribution to the overall campaign. A caveat noted by those two people in their thought-provoking piece on the need for unpacking key assumptions and underlying legal analysis of the 2023 Israel-Hamas war. Wait, war. Oh, shit. I might want to read this, too, because it's kind of short. I'll add it to the list. I'm never going to be done, because I'm just going to keep adding more and more stuff. Okay. But the proportionality test as a whole needs to be applied to an individual attack, and a military advantage needs to be both concrete and direct as a result of the attack. In launching the attack to kill the Hamas commander and degrade Hamas infrastructure in Jabalia, the IDF appears to have accepted a level of expected civilian casualties that was not just larger, but several times larger than that used by the U.S. and the U.K. in operations during the war in ISIS and counterterrorism campaigns. But again, is it practical for them to have the same standards when it's so densely populated and Hamas operates out of civilian infrastructure in a way that even ISIS didn't do as much? Two justifications or mitigating factors for the high civilian casualties have been offered or implied. In addition to the in explanations to U.S. officials, and in later, I need to lock in. Two justifications to mitigating factors that high civilian casualties have been offered or implied. In addition to the IDF statement referenced above. In explanation, U.S. officials, in a later press briefing, Israel's account of what caused the collapse of the buildings were clarified. An IDF spokesperson said that the IDF had struck in between buildings, aiming to destroy the tunnels underneath, effectively confirming the use of large precision-guided missiles. See, this is why, arguably, sometimes they need to use 2,000-pound bombs. The result, bringing down nearby buildings, cannot be avoided. Well, if they cannot be avoided, is it really... it'd be different if, you tried to destroy the tunnels and you maybe foresaw the possibility of the buildings collapsing, but if it literally cannot be avoided, you acted with knowledge that was almost certainly going to happen. However, the estimation of civilian harm in this proportionality test includes the total harm that is reasonably foreseeable, that is expected to result in an attack of an ordinary course of events. If part of the military advantage anticipated by Israel was the destruction of tunnels, it follows logically that the collateral damage expected from the collapse of the tunnels should have been included in the estimate. That's fair, I guess. This estimation process should also have at least considered the possibility that hostages could be harmed, depending on Israel's intelligence as to their location. I mean, if it kind of has to be a pretty important tunnel. Both of the statements and further comments by the IDF spokesperson also refer to an IDF call to residents to move south. Prior warnings that if that is what's claimed here, are part of the law precautions and cannot legitimate an otherwise unlawful attack. Yeah. Nor is Israel's response for assessing proportionality affected by Hamas manifest failure to take passive precautions to protect civilians against the effects of the attack. Civilians who choose to remain in Jabalia retain their civilian status and protection under international humanitarian law at all times. Sick. Okay, so attack was intent. Wait, I should mention Israel used 2,000 bomb to try and destroy tunnel between buildings. Claim that the following claimed was what did they say? I don't. It wasn't inevitable. It could not be avoided. Military gain of destroying tunnels, and killing Hamas leader. Including so I guess Israel warned Jabalia, but civilians who stayed still retain all IHL protection. Warnings cannot legitimize an otherwise illegal / disproportion attack. All right. Yeah, okay. Now he's got to read the conclusion. All right, chat. Almost done, chat. Okay, chat. Oh, it's already 3:23. God damn it. It can be done by 3:35. We got this. Lock in. The accepted circumstances of the October 31st Jabalia attack and the light shed by IDF statements on planning for the attack suggest that Israel's tolerance for civilian casualties is now completely out of step with what is enjoyed by that in the U.S. and the coalition of partners and other counterterrorism, ISIS, and other counterterrorism operations in Iraq and Afghanistan for over 2 decades. But again, it's fucking so densely populated. I don't know. It just can't be the case that, like, because Israel unfortunately finds itself in a place where Gaza is densely populated and Hamas does use human shields, it just can't be the case that, like, we uphold the standard. It's like, sorry, you can't go to war because that would kill civilians and that'd be against the rules. Yeah, I just don't. But this attack does seem kind of unhinged. 120 women and children dead for like one Hamas leader and like maybe a tunnel. That seems unhinged. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, guys. I'm gonna say probably bad. Probably bad, guys. Probably not. That wasn't good, guys. Don't do that, guys. Further Israeli attacks in Gaza since October 31st don't serve only to reinforce that impression. There may also be some debate on whether such conflicts are strictly comparable, but it's notable that Israel has sought to promote itself in the analogy of Hamas is ISIS. They have done that. Given that the apparent difference between Israel and the U.S. working understanding of excessive civilian harm is orders of magnitude, it's hard to imagine that the U.S. or U.K. lawyers would ever imagine a greenlighting Jabali strike had they been in the command center. Hold on, what's the fucking... Yeah. Okay. Responding to the attacks in Jabalia and another refugee camp, and the reported use of explosive weapons. Oh, there's another city or refugee camp. I thought it was a person. And the reported use of explosive weapons with wide area of effects in some of the most densely populated areas of Gaza. The UN offers the High Commissioners for Human Rights expressed serious concerns for the principles of distinction and proportionality are not being respected by both sides. I super hate that. Because whether Israel always strictly obeys distinction and proportionality is sure up for debate, but it's not really up for debate for Hamas. Like, they can both be doing it, but they're doing it in wildly different ways. Hamas, as a matter of policy, intentionally maximizes civilian deaths, whereas like Israel like engages in disproportionate attacks sometimes. Like, that's like, these are wildly different things. Yeah. For the policy of the U.S. and UK and other states that are providing material and diplomatic support for Israel to Israel's military operation in Gaza, this is a significant challenge. Under the Geneva Conventions and the International Law Commission's articles on the responsibility of states, there is responsibility not just to respect. This song is Jewish immigration to the historical region of Palestine coded. There's a responsibility not just to respect, but to ensure respect for IHL, and to avoid aiding or assisting another state in the commission of an internationally wrongful act. As it is, disquiet is clearly rapidly growing in the Biden administration about the scale of civilian casualties in Gaza. On November 6th, CNN reported that the National Security Council spokesperson, Admin John Kirby, said that the administration is not giving the Israelis tactics advice on how to conduct their operations on the ground, and distanced the U.S. from Israel's targeting process. Questions about the IDF efforts to minimize civilian casualties, he stated, we have seen some indications that there are efforts being applied in certain scenarios to try to minimize, but I don't want to overstate that, adding that many, many thousands of innocent people have been killed in Gaza. The attempts described here to assign cold numbers to proportionate or non-excessive civilian deaths may leave the general reader discomfited. What? That's not discomfort. Why don't just say like discomforted? Discomfort. Legal experts are not. Stop. It's 3 a.m. Please. No, I need the pronunciation. I know what it means. Refer context clues. Legal thresholds are not conterminous with moral ones, and nowhere is the divergence more stark than the rules of proportionality in the conduct of hostilities. But the law matters, if only because it is designed not to give general guidance, but to produce specific real-world effects. This may have been what Yoram Destine had in mind when he famously wrote that proportionality is the true guarantee of robust civilian protections from the effects of attack in wartime. Israel's commitment to that protection is now seriously in doubt. For how much longer can the U.S. and the U.K. continue to give Israel's military operations their unqualified support based? Okay. Do I need anything to add for that? Yeah, I don't know. So I'll just say no, fuck. Where's the fucking and other attacks on refugee camps brought Israel's commitment to proportionality into question. Even from within I'll say the Biden admin. Yeah, and then I'll say there's responsibility not just to respect, but to ensure respect for IHL and to avoid. Yeah. All right. How long have I been reading for? 3 hours and 24 minutes. Okay, chat. Tomorrow I have to get up at 10 a.m. How many hours is that? No, long till I don't know. Say 10:30 a.m. Oh, can you not just tell me? Fuck you. Oh, 6 hours 58 minutes. God damn it. Seven hours, man. Look at the clock. That's so much work. I guess 10 minus 3, 7. God damn it. God damn it. God damn it. Can you call me at 10:30 so I can maybe wake up? Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I'll definitely be out of bed by 10:30. Definitely. My grandma's taking me to lunch, so I think Tony left a while ago. No way you forget. There's no way that I would set an alarm for 10:30 and then snooze it 20 times and then barely crawl out of bed at the last possible minute and then not call you. That wouldn't happen. I would never do that. All right, chat. Thanks for watching, chat. Good night, chat. Good night. Hold on, I gotta type it everywhere. Good night, chat. Good night, chat. Good night, chat. There we go. All right. Bye, chat. Goodbye. Goodbye. Good night. Good night, chat. Good night.